My cousin married my ex-boyfriend, spread lies about me at the wedding, slandered me, was thrown out by her mother, and then tried to break into my house at night. So my cousin Julia, 27, started dating my ex-boyfriend Louis, 29. 2 years ago. I was with Louis for 3 years, starting to date after he graduated, when I was a sophomore in college. We were together for 3 years and broke up a few weeks after my 20th birthday. To be honest, the relationship was not good, and I regret that it was my first relationship as an adult. On paper, he and I were perfect for each other, but the reality was very different. He was very insecure and controlling and wouldn't let me do anything I wanted to do, like go out with friends to bars or even talk to my male friends. He was always spying on me, and whenever I didn't do what he wanted, he would start manipulating me, making me feel like I was the one who caused it to end, and I really wanted him to stay, so I did whatever he wanted. But it was still not enough to keep him. He broke up with me, saying that we couldn't continue, and then started to prevent me from contacting him. I tried very hard to contact him, but after the breakup, he completely disappeared. Less than 2 months later, I heard from someone else that he already had a new girlfriend. It was a waste of my time, and I really didn't like that guy. After the breakup, we didn't contact each other for a while, but when I turned 25, he finally unblocked me and wished me a happy birthday. I didn't. He texted me, which I found strange because I was already with someone else at the time, but he kept texting me anyway, even though he wasn't getting a response. Eventually, I had to block him, and then we didn't speak for a few months. However, just a few months after my birthday, Julia invited me to her house, and when I went to her house, she told me that she wanted to introduce me to someone. It turned out to be Luis, and it was clear that he had texted me on my birthday because he wanted to sort things out with me before that happened. They met through work and started dating and were very serious with each other. Julia and I had been very close since we were kids, so this was a huge shock to me because she knew that he and I really didn't get along and he had treated me very badly. When I realized that they were together, she told me that she knew I would be uncomfortable, but she wanted me to give them a chance, which I really wanted to do, but it was so hard for me. I wanted to be happy for Julia, but Luis had caused me so much pain in the past. This was my first serious relationship, because in junior high and high school I had no one but secret crushes, and he ruined that, so I held a grudge against him for the way he had treated me in the past. I tried to remain respectful and told Julia that while I truly wished her happiness, I could not accept the fact that she was now with Luis. I didn't think I wanted to be a part of her life anymore. She was very upset about this and tried to talk to me a few times afterwards, but I couldn't accept it because she was the only person who knew how much he had hurt me and how much I had suffered because of him. And yet she continued to date him and kept telling me that he had changed and was a better person now, but I didn't buy it. She was free to let him be in her life and be with him, and I didn't have any objections to that, but I also had the right to remove him from my life along with her through association. It was very simple for me, and obviously very difficult for me, because Julia and I are very good friends and cousins, but for my own sake I had to do something, and I did it after she told me she had started dating Luis. I stopped talking to her regularly, and over the past 2 years we have become very cold towards each other, because once she realized that I would not talk to her, even though she started acting distant, I don't blame her for this. We would meet at events, but we would ignore each other. Before, we were always inseparable, chatting away, but now it's different. I accept it. Everyone has their own life and the freedom to do what they want, so I don't mind her. I just don't want to talk to her, that's all. But I guess she took it personally and wanted to get back at me, so she started saying bad things about me to the rest of our family, trying to undermine my image. I think this is completely unnecessary, because I would never do this to her. Even though we have not got along well in the past year, she has never done this to me, but she told everyone that I broke up with Louis because of me. Obviously, she has no morals or ethics. She and Louis have been spreading rumors about me, saying that I would flirt with other boys in front of Louis when I was with him. This is the real reason why he eventually became possessive and controlling. They made it sound like I was the one flirting, and that's why he became insecure, when the truth was the opposite. He was the one being overly friendly with other women and expecting me to be okay with it, but when I made male friends, he got upset. He kept manipulating me to keep me from everyone, even though I kept my friendships completely platonic. I find their strategy of damaging my reputation among my family very offensive, but to be honest, I'm too busy with my own life to pay attention to the rumors they spread, and no one actually believes them anyway. So I don't care about it and don't respond or react, because I know it plays right into their hands, and they'd love for me to react. I also know that I want to end this, and it would really be easy for me because I just need to talk to my aunt and she will take care of everything. Even though Julia and I have grown apart, I still have a very good relationship with her mother, who is a federal court judge. I know she will do the right thing. She is my father's sister, and everyone knows that she has an iron will. She would never do anything shady or wrong. So I don't know how Julia has become like this, even though she is the daughter of that kind of person. But just having a talk with her will put an end to it. But I know that Julia will also suffer a lot because she is quite financially dependent on her mother, because recently she started her own jewelry brand, but as far as I know, the business is not doing too well. Anyway, I didn't want to bother her with such trivial matters, and I knew I was strong enough to handle it on my own, so I didn't mention it to her. I also wanted to let things take their course and see what ridiculous rumors they would come up with, because in any case, my other cousins would still come to me and tell me what she had said behind my back, so it was interesting and entertaining for me. 6 months ago, they got engaged and announced the wedding date shortly after my parents received the invitation, but I didn't receive an invitation, and I didn't care. I didn't expect to be invited to the wedding. Even if I had been, I wouldn't have wanted to go because there were so many problems between Julia and me, not to mention Luis. The wedding took place 3 days ago, and it was just another day for me, so I didn't really care what was going on there, but at some point my phone started getting text messages from everyone at home. And everyone was talking about Luis and Julia's speeches at the wedding. I was really confused, but then my parents called me and said they needed to talk to me, so they were the ones who finally told me what had happened. I had a fit, obviously. They took the opportunity at the wedding to give a vicious speech about me and spread as many nasty stories about me as possible. They wanted everyone in the family to turn against me, and if I hadn't been so upset with them, they probably would have succeeded. Julia and Luis were clever. Instead of mentioning my name, they kept referring to an ex-girlfriend who hadn't been to the wedding, which could only mean me, because who else could it be? They repeated all the rumors they tried to spread about me, as if I were a womanizer, and apparently I was also a gold digger, that I would rely on Louis' money and expect him to pay for everything, that he had 2 of them. Because I insisted that I was just a college student and couldn't waste it, so I demanded that he take care of me financially while we were together, which was also not true. I always went Dutch on dates and never expected him to pay, let alone demand it. But by far the most horrible thing they have ever said to me is that they accuse me of being unfaithful to him, and this is the end of the relationship in their story. So now at the wedding, they said they were glad I was no longer in their lives and didn't attend the wedding because they didn't want to be around the negativity either, and gave their family an ultimatum from now on they would either invite me to their events or invite them to mine because if I attended any family events they wouldn't attend. After that, people started calling me to tell me about it, but I only found out from my parents, and I was so angry as I mentioned before, so I thanked them for everything, because my parents left immediately after that speech, because they couldn't stand Julia being so unscrupulous. They also told me that my aunt really didn't understand what was going on and asked them if what Julia said in her speech was true, because that didn't sound like me at all. She was right, I didn't do that. And she was also completely right to doubt the truth of her daughter's words. After learning that they had said bad things about me in their wedding speech, I decided to go all out and find screenshots from the past to prove that they were lying. I had to do a lot of digging, which took me quite a while, because I had to scroll for a few minutes to find the part one wanted. Fortunately, after a long time, I finally found the screenshots of my chat history with my ex-boyfriend that I had been looking for. These screenshots were taken around the time we broke up, and at the time he was particularly mean and vicious, saying a lot of nasty things to me, such as how we both wished he had never started dating me, and how he had wasted 3 years with me when he could have been with someone else, as a lot of women had expressed interest in him at the time, but now he was finally going to go out with someone else. No mention of cheating, and I'm sure if I had really cheated on him, he wouldn't have let me get away with it so easily. I continued scrolling and found other chats where he was hostile towards me, and then posted them all online without explanation or captions, because I thought the chats spoke for themselves, and they did, because after I posted the screenshots, he texted me again and left a comment under the post saying that they knew none of it was true because I was acting so weird, and it was really baffling because everyone has known me since I was a kid, and I'm not the type of person to do this kind of thing, and these screenshots showed that they were lying, and I knew that my family was on my side and not theirs, and that was enough for me. In fact, I even had a few people contact me to tell me that they had left the wedding because of what they had heard about me. So, although Julia and Luis had hoped that they could incite people against me, their words had the opposite effect. No one was on their side anymore, and worst of all, not even my aunt was on their side anymore, which was really bad for them. It was really bad for them. They contacted me on the night of the wedding and began to beg for my forgiveness, as apparently after seeing the screenshot I posted online. My aunt had spoken to them and expressed her disappointment that Julia had been so dishonest and tried to damage my reputation, simply because she couldn't bear the thought of me choosing to cut her off because she was now with my ex due to the dramatic events unfolding. Most of the guests had already left, and after talking to them, my aunt also told Julia that she was very unhappy and disappointed with her behavior and had expected better from her, so she would also have to cut both of them out of her life. Then they both called me and started apologizing nonstop because they knew they would not be able to do without my aunt's support, as she had financially supported her daughter for a long time. Julia had actually planned to close her business and take some time off, which meant she would now have to rely even more on her mother, but things could not go as planned because my aunt had decided to cut her off financially. She was really worried about the future, which is why she contacted me and wanted me to forgive her for deleting that post and to talk to my aunt about it all. I was so upset about what had happened that I refused to do so and blocked 2 of them. But ever since then, they have been desperately trying to contact me to change my mind. Now I'm really confused and don't know what I should do. My aunt is a very upright woman. We talked, and the day after the wedding, she contacted me to let me know that she was very sorry for what she had done to Julia. But I told her that I didn't want my relationship with Julia to affect our relationship, because I didn't let it happen in the past and I won't let it happen now, so everything is fine between us, and I know that if I talk to her, I can make things right with Julia, but I personally feel that I don't actually need to do this. She is a fully mature adult woman and should be able to deal with the consequences of her actions on her own, but on the other hand, I would feel like an asshole because I know I can help her, but I choose to stand by and do nothing. I'm a bit conflicted now and don't know what to do, so please help me resolve this. Ada didn't speak to my aunt and didn't convince her to forgive my cousin for the horrible things she said to my ex-boyfriend at the wedding. Update. Hi everyone, first of all, thank you very much for all your comments and support. Before I update, I want to clarify one thing. My parents attended the wedding like many other family members, as they belong to the older generation of our family and are not aware of the rumors about me. Luis and Julia mainly told these rumors to other cousins and relatives of our generation, who are about the same age as us, so they didn't tell the elders. My parents have no idea what people are saying about me, and out of respect for my aunt, even though they knew there was some tension between her and me after I started dating Julia, I deliberately didn't say anything and didn't complain to them, just as I didn't say anything to my aunt, because I didn't want to involve them in such trivial matters. I don't care about that, but obviously Julia and Luis don't. I mean, my parents don't know, which is why they came to the wedding, so there's no need for anyone to question them or hate them, because once they and the rest of the older generation find out the gossip about me at the wedding, they'll just opt out and stop talking to Julia or Luis, so everything will be fine. I hope that's clear to everyone now. It's been a week since the wedding, and I've blocked Louis and Julia so they can't contact me, but that hasn't stopped them from trying, because they keep creating new accounts on social media and keep sending me emails, despite the fact that I keep blocking them. I've made up my mind that I won't get involved anymore and I won't help them. I've been in touch with my aunt, and she's made it very clear that she won't continue to support her daughter until I forgive her. But honestly, I don't think I need to forgive her, because for a whole year I kept quiet and let them slander me as much as they wanted, because I didn't take their words seriously, but they took it as a license to carry on. And now they have to face the consequences. And there's the other fact that, honestly, I don't think she deserves financial support from her mother, because she's now in her 20s, and I think she should know what she wants to do with her life. I can't imagine anyone at that age still relying on their parents. She's not uneducated or incapable, she just never bothered to hold down a job. We were the same when we graduated in our early 20s, and I thought she would change over time, but it's just the same as ever. So in a way, I feel like I'm doing her a favor, because not getting any financial support from my aunt might make her work harder or whatever. I've made up my mind not to help her anymore. I have discussed this decision with my parents, just to alleviate my guilt, and they say that whatever I do is completely right, that it is my decision, whether or not I want to forgive her. If I don't think she deserves forgiveness, I don't have to forgive her. I'm just worried about what will happen to her in the future. Apart from LS, who also has a decent job, he could support both of them if they really didn't want to accept any financial help from my aunt. Most importantly, I have talked to my parents, some friends, and even all of you, and most people think that I have no reason to feel guilty, so I feel better now, to be honest. But I have deleted that post because I don't think there is any point in keeping it. Everyone in my family already knows what happened, and I don't want to leave it on my profile because there are so many people following me, and it would be hard to explain what happened to them, so it is much easier to just delete it now. I just want to focus on myself and let go of the anger of the past few days and the guilt I've been feeling for the past few days, so I've started meditating again, trying to distract myself and deal with everything in a Zen way. I really hope that Julia and Luis will also try to improve their lives instead of making everything revolve around me and making me the reason they get up every morning, as they have done so far. I think it would be good for all of us. Update too high. It's been a month since the wedding, and as far as I know, Lizzie and Julia have started talking nonsense again. My aunt still won't speak to them because I haven't forgiven them yet. At the moment, I don't even need to forgive them because I know their apologies aren't sincere. They only apologized because they wanted money from my aunt. A few days later, they tried to convince me to forgive them and get my aunt to speak to them, but they weren't sincere. After I didn't respond, they gave up. After that, they started spreading rumors about me again, and this time they were apparently more creative, going around telling everyone that I had deliberately sabotaged their relationship with my aunt because I wanted to keep the entire inheritance for myself. This simply doesn't make sense, and it's ridiculous to think that I would do such a thing, because my parents were also very wealthy. We don't even have to discuss this, because I have a decent job of my own and I'm doing very well, and I don't need to think about the inheritance at all, because by the grace of God I'm developing very quickly and don't need to rely on anyone for money. Maybe that's what they think, but anyway, they tell everyone this every time they meet family members in public, which happens a lot because we all live in the same city and they are close to the homes of several of our family members. The members of the family avoid them like the plague, but they always find a way to talk about me. It makes no sense to me, and I don't understand why they are so obsessed with me, because I haven't done anything in the past month. All I've done is ignore them, but they just won't leave me alone. Anyway, I got really annoyed about it last week, and I told my aunt about it. She told me that even though they apologized and contacted her daughter, and she even told Julia to block her again, now the two of them are madder at me than ever. I know because they created a fake email account again and sent me a very angry email through it, as it is the only way they can contact me now. They told me that they were going to make me pay for all of this, like who scared me. I know they have lost their minds now. Although I am not scared, it is really inconvenient, so I wrote back to them saying that if they dare to play tricks on me, I will call the police and have them jailed without hesitation, so they better be careful. I hope this will scare them, But if not, I have a pretty good security system that has been updated 3 times. So 4 days ago, I received an email from LWS and Julia saying that I would bear the consequences of what I had done. I also warned them that if they tried anything funny, I would report them to the police. But that didn't stop them from doing the stupidest thing in the world. Last night, they tried to break into my house. Julia has been to my house a few times, and she knows that I have a very advanced security system, so obviously I was warned when they even tried to open my door. I even know why they thought my door would be unlocked in the middle of the night at around 1 a.m. I immediately called the police after it happened and informed them that someone had tried to break into my house. I had a feeling it was Julia and Luis, but just in case I didn't want to take any chances, so they arrived within 15 minutes. Unfortunately, the two of them were even dressed like burglars and were caught trying to escape not far from my house because they didn't come by car, but arrived by bicycle all the way here. They both tried to claim that they knew me and that they weren't trying to steal anything. They just wanted to break in and talk to me to scare me a little. I don't know why they admitted this, as if that would make them look better in the eyes of the law. Julia started crying as soon as she was handcuffed and began begging me not to press charges against her, but I felt no sympathy for her. You can't keep making mistakes over and over again and expect people to forgive you. Louis just looked at me with pure hatred, but that didn't matter to me. I'm used to it anyway. After that, I went back to sleep because I had work in the morning. This morning I told my aunt and parents what had happened, and they told me that they had known about it for a while because Julia had called my aunt on her phone and asked her to bail her out, but my aunt had refused to even go see her. So now no one knew what would happen. I will definitely sue them because I want to apply for a protection order against them because they have clearly lost their minds, and I don't want to have anything to do with them anymore.